Let's talk a little bit about self-assessment. Self-assessment is something that is very key in developing your leadership skills and developing your leadership environment. One of the things that I always start with when I'm working with clients, I'm working with individuals about developing their leadership skills is to first self-assess assess themselves, right? And in that just involves you just taking an inventory of you, the person, who you are, right? Not just taking an inventory of your leadership capabilities like most people do. Most people want to try to separate themselves from their leadership. But when in actuality, you cannot separate yourself from your leadership. You and your leadership are one, right? Doesn't matter what your environment is. You and your leadership are one. Now, some of you might know me and understand that I have a methodology that I call 3XP leadership, right? And in that my 3XP leadership, it is actually showing that there are three different people that make up the one leader within you, right? You have your personal leader, right? Which is you yourself, self-leading. Then you have, excuse me, I take that back. I apologize. You have your P1, which is your self-leader. That's you, right? You leading you. Your personal leader is your P2. That's the person that your friends and family see. Okay, that's the leader that most of them see. And then you have your P3, that's your professional leader. And that's the one that you show in your professional environment. So you show your P3 in your professional environment, your academic environment. That's what mostly the public will actually see as your P3. When in all actuality, they actually are looking at all three, but they mostly see the P3 because that's what most people project when it comes to their leadership. And so, what I help people do with risk leadership is understand that yes, you can have your P3, yes, you can show your P2, but the one that should be dominant of the three should be your P1, yourself leader, right? Yourself, yourself person. And how do you make that person dominant? Because when you are dominant in your P1, it's going to show in your P2 and your P3. And then, but what's going to happen is you're going to have consistency with that. So, and doing so you must do a self-assessment on yourself, and don't be afraid to look at what you're not good at. Don't be afraid to look at what your weaknesses are. Okay. Don't be afraid to acknowledge to yourself, because one of the things that I always say to my clients and to individuals willing to grow into leadership is stop lying to yourself. Okay. Stop lying to yourself. That person looking back at you in the mirror, right? That person knows everything about you, every little dirty secret, every little thing you're thinking, every little thing you're saying, every little thing you have done. Okay. Stop lying to that person. Now, you don't have to reveal that to the rest of the world out here, but you got to stop lying to that person that's sitting in front of you in that mirror. And when you're looking at yourself in that mirror, look at yourself in the eyes, right? Because once again, you got to be able to face who you are as a person. Now, that's difficult for some people because some people don't like who they are as a person, and they hide it in public. They hide it with the P3, right? Or they hide it with the P2. But in all actuality, they don't like that P1. They don't like that self person, okay? And that's where, to me, a lot of issues arise in your leadership, because that affects your environment. And your environment is what surrounds you, not just what's around you in your house, not just what's around you at your job, right? It's your environment. It's your nature. It's your beliefs. It's your values. It's your morals, right? It's the people. It's the things. It's everything around you. And your environment can change, right? Your environment can change. That's the greatest thing about being a human being, is we can change our environment, okay? So self-assess, right? One of the things, especially being an online student and at the doctoral level, one of the things that you must learn how to do or work on doing as you're moving through your journey is time management. Okay, you're going to have to become an excellent time manager of you. Okay, if you're not, you're going to have to learn how to start, and you start somewhere. You get somebody to help you with that. If you don't have the self motivation to do it and to start building on that, then you find somebody else that can hold you accountable. It's accountability partner, right? Find somebody who can hold you accountable, not somebody that's going to give in the moment you give them some pushback, or the moment that you get mad at them and so you don't talk to them anymore. So it might not be a spouse, it might not be a loved one. It could be someone that you just trust, but someone that's going to tell you the truth, someone that's going to hold you accountable, someone that's going to say, hey, listen, this is what you should be doing right now. Okay. Even though you don't want to do it, even though you don't want to hear it, you should be doing it anyway. Okay. So time management, because sitting in the classroom is easy, because if you have students that have in-person class, right, and if they're supposed to be in class for an hour and 25 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, they're going to sit there for an hour and 30 minutes, and I pretty much have somewhat of their attention in an hour and 30 minutes. I have 3 hour classes. You're going to be there for 3 hours. Okay, I got your attention. I can get you to do stuff that works within your class, right, or in our discussion or in our subject matter for those 3 hours. But when you're online, like you guys are, right, when you're studying doctoral, regardless, I say even in person, you still have to manage your time effectively. Okay, effectively. That means that you're going to miss some birthdays. You're going to miss some lunches, right? You, you're going to miss some parties. I remember watching the Super Bowl, okay, because my team was in it, watching the Super Bowl with my laptop in my lap, doing my research in my doctoral studies. Yes. I remember my friends inviting me out to say, "Hey, let's go out to the cigar bar and just hang out, man. We ain't seen you in a while." Okay, great. I would show up with my laptop in my hand, and I would be literally sitting at the bar, laughing, ha ha, he, and then going back over here doing retyping, doing my research, because I knew my time was valuable, right? And I'm a master of my time, so I'm not saying you can do that just yet, all right? Sometimes you might have to say, "Nope, I can't go. Nope, I can't do." Right? I have to be here. If you got to lock yourself away in your office, in your room, in your car, okay. I know students that say, my household is a circus. I can't get any peace and get the work done, so they go and sit in their car and get their work done. But ladies and gentlemen, the reason why that is important, it's because you set a goal for yourself, right? You set a goal to accomplish something, and it's not going to be easy. Anytime you set a goal to accomplish something, distractions, obstacles, barriers are going to rise up. That's life. That's human nature. That's what's going to happen because you set that goal. And so you're going to have to get over those distractions. Matter of fact, a distraction is nothing but what it says it is, a distraction. If a distraction is distracting you, then the distraction is doing their job and you're not doing yours, which means the distraction is going to get promoted, right? And you won't. Okay. So just understand that barriers and obstacles, right? Is what they are. They're barriers, right? So find a way around them, over them, under them, through them. Find a way. Challenges are challenges for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. The only time you're going to have success, the only time you're going to see success in your doctoral journey before any work you have to put in is in the dictionary. That is the only time you're going to see that. And as the last part of this self-assessment, understand something. You are a doctoral student. You're going to have to do research. You're going to always be researching, not just for your assignment, ladies and gentlemen. And you need to be researching for the subject matter. Don't be a last minute student that want to get their work done at the last minute, like they did when they was in their undergraduate level, right? Or like they did when they was in a master's level. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a whole different level. The doctoral level is a whole different level. It's a way bigger commitment, and it's not going to be easy. It's not meant to be easy, because if it was easy, everyone would have it. Everyone would go for it. The reason why everybody don't go for it is because it is not an easy journey to accomplish. Yes, many of us have done it, but ladies and gentlemen, we would sit down and tell you the work that we had to put in. We had to assess ourselves, right? We had to go and improve our time management. And there's a lot of other factors involved in that too. So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as you're thinking about self-assessment, and say, once again, don't be afraid. Tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. You don't have to tell everybody else the truth. Tell yourself the truth. And as long as you tell yourself the truth and you're truthful with yourself on who you really are, then, ladies and gentlemen, that's the foundation that you start building on. But until you set that foundation, until you get that foundation set, there is no way you're going to be able to build. And if you do build, it's going to shatter because the foundation won't be able to handle the weight that everything else has been put on top of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you much success in your educational journey, and I look forward to seeing you at the top.